and another 55,000 were wounded. We honor the more than 1 million Canadians and Newfoundlanders who served in the Second World War. War transformed not only those who fought on the front lines, but also those who supported them on the home front. Although a long-awaited peace lay ahead, there were many changes in their faces that returned, and those who, in fact, greeted them. When someone serves in Canada's military, the entire family serves with them. This is as true today as it was during the great conflicts of the last century. Each and every one of us as Canadians recognize their support and their sacrifice. Women have been essential to Canada's wartime efforts, whether by serving in the military or by filling labor shortages and leading on the home front. Indigenous people continue to proudly serve in uniform today, just as they did during the Second World War. We honor their service and their sacrifices. Canada's diverse population of veterans have served on Canadian soil, abroad, as peacekeepers and peacemakers, as well as in combat operations, humanitarian efforts, and domestic support missions here on Canadian soil. We live in a country strong and free, thanks to those who fought selflessly to achieve peace. Today, every day, we honor all those who serve Canada, past as well as present and well into the future, in times of war, military conflict, and peace. During this troubling time of this pandemic, we're all feeling it, each and every one of us. Remembering our nation's heroes, their commitment, their dedication, and their true grit for their country established our values, what it is to, in fact, be Canadian. And today, Canadians continue to have each other's backs. As we remember our past, let's continue to reinforce the legacy of our Canadian heroes, the values handed down from generations past, and continue to look after each other today and well into the future, lest we forget.
Thank you, Beth. If we could have Angie Damaris, please. Provincial Government.
Thank you, for Colborne Legion, for holding this remembrance ceremony today. MPP Birch wishes he could be here with you today, but I'm happy to bring remarks on his behalf. Today, we remember millions of Canadians who courageously went into battle to defend our country and protect our treasured values. 2020 marks the 75th anniversary of the end of the Second World War. Many of those sent off to war were young men and women whose lives would be forever changed. They valiantly fought in the Battle of the Atlantic, the Battle of Britain, the defense of Hong Kong, the Dieppe Raid, the Italian Campaign, D-Day, the Battle of Normandy, and many more. We are forever grateful to these men and women. As a result of the sacrifices of 1.1 million soldiers from across Canada who have served, fellow Canadians and millions of others around the world experience freedom and democracy today. I also want to acknowledge and thank Canadians currently deployed on military operations for their service, especially during these difficult times as we deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. It is on all of us to ensure that our veterans receive the very best care and treatment, lest we forget.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, regional government, Jim Bradley and Barbara Butters are unable to attend today, but on their behalf, Mayor Bill Steele will present their words for us, and then Mayor Bill Steele will remain and present his words. Mayor Bill Steele.
Thank you, Harry. Again, on behalf of Chair Bradley and our Regional Councillor Barbara Butters, I'm honored to be here with you today. At events like this all over the region and the country, we gather to remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. We remember these individuals both with our words and with our silence. We also pause to remember those who return from wars all over the world. These men and women often return home with the scars of conflict, both physical and psychological. It is important we recognize these individuals on days like today. It goes without saying that we owe these courageous men and women a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid. The freedom and lifestyle we enjoy today came at a great loss. The very least we can do is recall these fellow Canadians in solemn remembrance and respect. While COVID-19 may have forced changes to this year's in-person Remembrance Day ceremonies, we are all encouraged to make a financial donation and wear a poppy in recognition of the sacrifices of those who have served on our behalf. The willingness of our veterans to stand up to protect human rights, freedom, and justice remains one of Canada's defining characteristics in the eyes of the world. It is truly my honor to be here with you today and share these brief remarks. I invite you all to take a time out of your day to remember the sacrifices of those in our community to make Canada the country it is today. Again, on behalf of Chair Bradley and Regional Councillor Butters, we thank you. On behalf of the City of Port Colborne and the Office of the Mayor, today we're in trying times, but to all those who have served this great country since Confederation, to those that served and were able to return, and to those that served and gave the ultimate sacrifice, their time was very trying. Ladies and gentlemen, to everyone watching via the internet, veterans, legionnaires, and dignitaries, Canada's war history is a story of cooperation and partnership. We've been counted on as a friend and an ally of freedom for all those who seek to protect and defend it. We've been at the ready to stand to arms when the threat of this precious freedom is encountered, ready to defend our nation against those who would threaten us. Those of you who have served will be familiar with the phrase, stand to. The order that demands that every soldier don belt equipment, check that weapons are in working order and loaded, to be alert and ready in the face of a looming threat. During the First World War, it was an order practiced in the trenches to ensure that all soldiers were ready before first light and at dusk, likely times for enemy attack. As a nation, we've regularly been called upon to stand to. We remember well the wars of the 20th century, but we must not forget that many Canadians are serving today in significant numbers in areas of conflict around the world, with many strong partnerships where Canada stands with others to preserve and protect our freedom. Inevitably, in the first years of nationhood in the early 20th century, Canadians fought as part of the British Empire. Newfoundland and Labrador fought for the Empire until joining Canada in 1949. Today, we remember all the men and women who gave their lives to provide us the freedoms we cherish, to elect our governments, have free speech, pray at any church, synagogue, or mosque, read any book, watch any television or news program, join community groups in the betterment of our cities and towns. So as we take our moment of silence today, remember the words of one of the great leaders of our time. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duties, and so bear ourselves that, if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will say, this was their finest hour. Sir Winston Churchill. Thank you very much.
At this time, we normally have the presentation of the wreaths. And just to bring to your attention, the federal wreath, the provincial wreath, the regional government wreath, and the City of Port Colborne wreath, and Branch 56 wreath has already been laid at Knoll Park Cenotaph and will remain there till after lunch. So usually we have the Silver Cross Mother, and this year Mrs. Wagner, she notified us this morning that she is unable to attend, and we have placed her wreath at the front of the podium here. So if I may start and read out all the wreaths that have been laid previously here. We have the Navy Merchants Marine. We have the 1st Parish